Hello Win.gg viewers, and welcome back to another video. I'm Nick, and once again, while I'm usually taking you through League of Legends, I'm happy to be returning to the world of Halo for this video. We won't be focusing on the games or the show for this video, and instead we'll be looking outside of the main sources for some Halo media to enjoy. This is my personal list of the top 5 Halo stories from outside of the games. Now, this is generally going to be a list of digital media that explores the Halo universe in ways that the games don't. There are lots of Halo books, and I've read some, but I don't feel comfortable enough with all of them to rank them that confidently. Instead, we'll be focusing on digital media, like mostly shows, both live action and animation, as well as some audio-only stuff. Honorable mention should be given, before we start the list, to the Halo Waypoint series. There are some great animations and videos for that, but I didn't really feel like they were cohesive enough for me to put it down as one long-form piece of content. Starting off our list at number 5 is Halo: The Fall of Reach. This is an animated short exploring John, or the Master Chief's, recruitment into the Spartan 2 program, the process of growing up and being trained as a Spartan, and then humanity's eventual encounter with the Covenant and, as the title suggests, the Fall of Reach. The animation in this is pretty basic, and you don't see a ton of action on screen for the most part, though there are some great sequences, like John's encounter in the boxing gym with Marines. And I won't spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, but there are some iconic Halo moments that are brought to life by this. The downside of the Fall of Reach is that I think the story is told better in several other media forms. As we'll get to later on in this list, I think John's recruitment into the Spartan program has some better options, and Halo Reach is a far better telling of the Fall of Reach than this is. It's still a good watch, but it's at the bottom of my list because I felt like it explored territory that we'd seen before, but didn't do it as interestingly as other places. Number 4 is Halo Nightfall. Now, this is one of the earlier or earliest live-action Halo efforts and is produced by Ridley Scott. Halo Nightfall is fun, but it's not great. The reason it ranks above Halo: The Fall of Reach to me is because it's exploring a new story. Halo Nightfall is meant to serve as a little bit of an origin story for Spartan Locke. It spans the time between Halo 4 and Halo 5 Guardians, and introduces us to the character of Jameson Locke, who eventually becomes a Spartan 4 and has to chase down the Master Chief in Halo 5. In this live-action film, Jameson Locke and UNSC Marines under his command are brought to a planet to investigate a Sangheili terrorist who allegedly has a pathogen that kills only humans. This would be the holy grail for the Covenant, enabling them to cleanse entire planets without needing to worry for their own population. Things go south from there, and the original Halo even shows up, in part. If you've watched everything above Nightfall on this list, then go for it. It's a perfectly fine film, and it brings some new aspects into the Halo universe that haven't showed up again, but are still pretty cool. Some of the performances don't really rank up, but the central performance for Jameson Locke is genuinely pretty good, and I did enjoy my time with Locke in Nightfall more than I did in Halo 5, but that's more of a problem with Halo 5. Up next is number 3 on my list, and this is Halo Legends. This one's a little bit of a cheat because Halo Legends isn't really one piece of content as much as it is several pieces of content put into a sort of anthology, but I still think it's great. Halo Legends is several animations put together into an animation anthology that explores the Halo universe through the eyes of several renowned animation studios. Each of the animations being shown is very different, both in theme and tone and visuals, and so it feels really refreshing jumping from a Covenant story told like an old samurai film to a pretty flashy Spartan assault sequence in space. As much as I'd like to recommend certain shorts over the others, I really do think Halo Legends should be watched as one long-form piece of content. It's really good, and it gives you a good sense for the variety that the Halo universe can contain, when sometimes it is limited a little bit too much to just plain human military fiction. Halo Legends is great and definitely worth your time. Number 2 on this list is another live-action movie tied into the story of Halo 5 Guardians and Halo 4. Forward Unto Dawn serves as the backstory for Captain Lasky, the eventual captain of the UNSC Infinity, humanity's greatest ship. This is the story of him and his squad going through officer school when it is suddenly attacked by the Covenant. Forward Unto Dawn is good because it brings down the vast consequences of the Halo universe and the massive stakes to the scale of a single UNSC squad, and not even fully trained drop troopers or anything quite as exciting as Halo 3 ODST. Instead, it's a pack of green, untrained soldiers experiencing their first Covenant assault. It's also an amazing depiction of Spartans and the Master Chief as truly superhuman and something other than a regular soldier. I highly recommend Forward Unto Dawn. There are some great stories and great performances by the actors. It will pull at your heartstrings, and at the same time you'll get to see Chief fight a hunter and believe that it's real, or believe it enough. Again, there are some problems with this because, as we've seen with the current Halo show, it can be really hard to bring Halo into live action and keep it feeling genuine. Forward Unto Dawn is nonetheless number 2 on our list. Despite all its problems, it's still a great story that distills the Halo universe down to small individual stakes and a story you can care about. Before we get to the number 1 spot on our list, I'm going to remind you to like the video and subscribe to win.gg, as well as ringing that notification bell. We've got tons of content coming up on the channel, and there's lots of games I'd like to cover, Halo included. If you want more content like this, make sure to show us your appreciation by throwing it a like or a subscription. The number 1 best piece of Halo media outside of the games is the podcast Hunt the Truth. Hunt the Truth was released ahead of Halo 5 Guardians and was meant to sort of set the tone and a little bit of the story for the campaign of that game. This didn't end up being true, as the Halo 5 campaign had almost nothing to do with what Hunt the Truth was about. However, Hunt the Truth continues to be the single best, in my opinion, Halo story told outside of the games, and maybe even including the games. Hunt the Truth is a fictional podcast in the Halo universe run by a journalist named Benjamin Giroux, who's played by Keegan-Michael Key. Benjamin Giroux is hired by the UNSC to do a profile on humanity's greatest hero, the Master Chief. As Benjamin Giroux investigates the Master Chief, the backstory that the Office of Naval Intelligence has set up to cover for their kidnapping of children for the Spartan program begins to fall apart. Hunt the Truth is a genuinely creepy and disturbing podcast that shows the dystopia of the Office of Naval Intelligence and the UNSC's influence across the galaxy. As Benjamin gets closer to the truth, his world begins to unravel, and the Office of Naval Intelligence goes to extreme ends to make sure that no one finds out what they did to create the super soldiers. Hunt the Truth is a genuinely great podcast and is, in my opinion, one of the most enthralling stories told in the Halo universe. It's just great. The only downside is that it had absolutely nothing to do with what Halo 5 was, and it turns out in the long run, that's a good thing. This show stands the test of time as one of the most interesting Halo stories. There are 2 seasons of Hunt the Truth. The first one is what made the show so special, and I think that can be partially credited to Keegan-Michael Key's amazing performance. This voice cast is stacked. There's Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, names you know from tons of games pitched in to make this story excellent. I cannot recommend Hunt the Truth highly enough. If you are a Halo fan who has not listened to this podcast, go and do it now. And that was our top 5 Halo stories outside of the games. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely day.